What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on my channel, and today we're going to be previewing round 1 of the AFL 2020 season. Yes, that's right, round 1 is happening. A lot of speculation over the last few days about it, but it's been given the green light so far, and we're looking likely to go ahead not only tonight, which is Thursday night footy, but also for Port Adelaide's big game, round 1 game against the Gold Coast Suns. So we're going to preview it and dive in to see exactly how Port Adelaide are going to tackle the Suns at Metricon without a crowd and see if we can bring home the chocolates. So this is my preview of Port Adelaide versus Gold Coast for round 1. So selection obviously has not happened as yet as the time of this video coming out. So we're going to dive into some of the facts that we do know at this stage. We know that Charlie Dixon is missing out of the big game with his adductor. Didn't quite come up for the contest, but Mitch Georgiadis will be making his AFL debut. The high-flying rookie is going to be given the green light to attack as hard as he can, take as many screamers as he likes, and make sure he kicks a few goals along the way to help the Port boys on Saturday night. Brad Ebert is also going to be given the green light to play. There was a lot of speculation that a lot of us thought, oh, maybe he's not in the best 22. Wasn't in my best 22 to start for round 1, which I assume is probably going to be very similar to what the game will look like Saturday night in terms of the team aspect. You might see Westhoff chipping out as well down forward to play with no Dixon, obviously. But for the Gold Coast Suns, Isaac Ranking hasn't been given the green light to play. He's still suffering a little bit of an injury setback. And Gold Coast is sort of that unknown team right now, and it's sort of a danger game as such. And to have a danger game in round 1 is, well, all games are danger games really, because Gold Coast had a fairly promising pre-season. Their March Series contests against Geelong and the Adelaide Crows were certainly promising. So promising signs. And to play at home as well in your own environment for round 1, coming off a pretty positive pre-season, is going to be a big task for Port. In saying that, Port Adelaide's March Series was very positive as well. And we travelled really well against the Suns, especially up at Metricon. The ground structure sort of suits us and the way we want to play. And I think it will be, again, the same this weekend. So a lot of factors that are going to come into this contest, that's for sure. Now, obviously, with the circulation of COVID-19 and everything that's happening in the current situation, it's very good to get some footy back. And I know it's a big asterisk on this season already with the amount of rule changes. So 16.5-minute quarters plus time on. We're going to get 17 games. It's not going to be by rounds, it's going to be by a fixture. So no matter what, we're going to play 17 games at some stage throughout this year. And I think, look, to be honest, that sort of favours Port Adelaide, because I feel there'll be less pressure on teams. Will obviously be more pressure on teams to recover and get back up for the next game. But I think there's less pressure on them as such to keep moving on. I think that the dynamic of this season is going to be a little bit different, and us as fans are going to be hard to keep up with each game and each contest, because it's just going to be so much happening. And I think that might favour the clubs a little more footy focused, a little bit more, all about the skills and as such. I really don't know what all that means, but it's going to be a lot different. That's basically how I'm going to sum that up. Looking at the game itself, as we know, no fans for any of the AFL games indefinitely. And for Port Adelaide, this sucks so much. I've seen so many comments about not being able to attend games. People from interstate that were wanting to either go to the Gold Coast or next week for the showdown. They were coming over for the prison bars. And it's going to be a tough time. And I think as the Port faithful, we know when we're in tough times, the tough Port supporters, we get going. We stick by our club. And it's going to be a vastly different circumstance Saturday night. And I think to repay the fans, it's going to be simply, we have to win this game. And at the end of the day, it's footy. It's 17 games. We've got a final series to try and play for. We've got a coach that's in desperate need of a job at the end of the year. Everything's on the line. No matter the circumstance now, it's everything on the line. And that's how you're going to start round 1 with everything going. And I can see the drive in the boys. Even through the March Series, there was a lot of drive, and that's very promising as a Port fan. Looking at a few matchups, I think with Scott Lycett now officially playing, we're not going to play 2 ruckmen, so I don't think Laddams will come into the side. And I think that suits Lycett's game a lot more. We're going to I think him versus Witts is a very challenging task. Witts is one of the premier ruckman in the league. He's underrated because he plays for the Gold Coast Suns, and their midfield's going to be quite handy. And I think the likes of Swallow, they're going to have their youngsters in there. Matty Rouse, who's come in through the draft, and they've got some crafty looking players. McPherson is another one that really is dangerous. They've got quite a tall forward line with Peter Wright and Sam Day. They're not the most dangerous forwards. But with an underman, we've got most likely McKenzie, then we'll have Jonas and Cleary. They're not the tallest of players in defence, so it's going to be challenging, I think, if there's a lot of contests or a lot of one-on-ones, because they're big-bodied forwards, and we might struggle in that aspect if the game is moved quite freely. And I think as well that will actually suit us in terms of the 16.5-minute quarters, because we like to play fast, we like to keep playing, and if they're shorter quarters, we're going to be able to do it harder for longer. So it might suit our game style. It's going to be a very high-scoring game, I do feel, this one. I don't think there'll be a lot of defensive plays implemented from either team unless it's a close game. You've got to lock it down. But I think it's just going to be one of those games where it's dangerous. It'll be midfield versus midfield. Who can make the most of their opportunities? And with a vastly different forward line and no Charlie Dixon, Todd Marshall has just definitely got to step up. 2 or 3 goals I think we're going to need from him on Saturday night. It's just going to be, it's his moment. He showed signs against the Lions at bits and pieces during that March series game. Against the Bulldogs, he was amazing up forward. He was taking grabs. His pressure on the ground was enormous, creating contests, moving the ball freely, presenting. It's everything we wanted from Todd Marshall and more, and that's what we need. If he can kick 2 or 3 goals, I know our smalls like Butters, Rosie, Dersma, those young kids, I think Ebert will hit the scoreboard. Georgiadis will get involved. Robbie Gray is definitely going to be in the mix. And then everyone in the midfield is just going to be able to help out. And if Todd Marshall can play that role, it opens everything up enormously. And it's a big task for him, definitely. But I reckon he's got the capabilities to do so. And if he steps up Saturday night, I can't see us not winning. It's as simple as that. Because tall forwards do win your games. And Todd's got to stand up and everything's on the line, and what a perfect way to start off 150 years of a celebration for a football club that's been successful for so long to win round 1. That gets me into my tips for this week. Got to do it a little bit differently than previous years with the previews for games. First of all, we're going to start with the tip of the game, which is Port Adelaide by 22 points. Obviously, high-scoring game. And I think as well, we're going to be doing first goal, because why not? We'll see how that goes. But the first goal of the game, I'm tipping Robbie Gray. I think small forward, bit of a crummer, might get the job done and start his season off really well. Let me know in the comments below your tips and your first goal for the game. And we'll have a scroll through next week and see exactly who gets one right and who gets one wrong. That will change week to week, but I think a bit of fun for our previews for this week's game. And at least footy's back. With all the circumstances that's going on at the moment, footy's back. Bit of normality. Thank you so much for watching this preview of Port Adelaide versus the Gold Coast Suns. Saturday night at 6:40 p.m. SA time. Make sure you get in front of the TV, support the boys, get around them. I know it's going to be tough not being able to be there, or it's going to be a little bit different with no crowds and everything. Everything is going to be a little bit different, but nonetheless, get behind the boys because it's a big one. It's still 150 years. We're still proud Port Adelaide people. And I know the Gold Coast Suns will give us a good run for our money. So make sure you tune into the game Saturday night. And make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content coming your way across what's going to be a very interesting season. My name is Anthony, Port fans, and as always, can't pair.